And a warm welcome to a FICCI Cascade webinar on policies and strategies to prevent counterfeiting and smuggling. Before we start the session, may I request Mr. Anil Rajput, Chairman FICCI Cascade, to please make the welcome address.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Swati. Good morning, Shri Ranjan Prakash Thakur, Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Muhammad Akbar, Joint Director, Department of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs. Mr. Ahmed, Deputy Director, Prosecution Crime Headquarters, Jammu and Kashmir Police. Mr. Arun Gupta, President, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Jammu. Mr. Guju, Chairman FICCI, J&K State Council, and MD, IA Multi-Venture Private Limited. Mr. Rajesh Sharma, Co-Chair FICCI, J&K Council, CEO Skipper Overseas Limited. It's my proud privilege to welcome all of you this morning on this webinar on policies and strategies to prevent counterfeiting and smuggling organized by FICCI Cascade. Over the years, FICCI Cascade has been consistently focusing on the need to curb the issue of growing illicit trade in counterfeit, pass-offs, and smuggled goods. And we work very closely with the industry, consumers, media, legal experts, enforcement agencies, and government to create awareness on the illicit impact of such practices across various states of India. Friends, as you are aware, counterfeit and smuggled goods are a threat to manufacturers and to the consumers they serve. Such illicit products have infiltrated every avenue of commerce, making their way into supply chains and consumers' homes, thereby threatening manufacturers' competitiveness, undermining consumer confidence, and posing a threat to individual health and safety. As you may be aware, OECD had in their reports stated that counterfeit and pirated goods have steadily risen in the last few years, and they are currently 3.3% of the global trade. A FICCI Cascade study released in 2019 estimated that due to smuggling, Indian economy incurred a loss of 1,17,253 crore and a further loss of 16.36 lakh livelihood opportunities in just 5 key sectors, namely textile, tobacco products, especially the cigarettes, ready-made garments, capital goods, machinery and parts, and electronic consumer durables. This threat actually was further compounded with the onslaught of pandemic, which hit the world in 2020, and the repercussions of which we are still facing. On one hand, while the government, voluntary organizations, and the corporate sectors are working relentlessly to fight and contain the pandemic, on the other hand, those involved in illegal activities such as counterfeiting, smuggling, black marketing, etc., are taking full advantage to exploit the miseries of millions by dealing in spurious and duplicate healthcare and consumer essentials. Following a global alert which was issued by Interpol, warning that vaccine would be a prime target of criminal networks, authorities have seized hundreds of fake vaccines across the globe, with criminal groups producing, distributing, and selling fake vaccines. The risk to the public are clear. These includes buying a product which not only does not protect against the COVID-19, but poses a serious health hazard if ingested or injected, as these products are not tested, regulated, or safety checked. In all this, the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are particularly vulnerable. The reason I say this, because they share boundaries with hostile nations, both of which can go to any extent to damage our country. The countries are known to deploy unconventional tactics, which include smuggling and counterfeiting, to create difficult and unsettling situation in the region. It is also a fact that these activities, besides causing massive financial losses, also facilitate organized crime and funds insurgency and terrorism world over, and Jammu and Kashmir is no exception. It is also important to highlight the fact that while smugglers and counterfeiters have tried to exploit the current situation by supplying illicit alternative of goods and products, both offline and online, the alert enforcement authorities in Jammu and Kashmir have uncovered and arrested people engaged in illicit trade of liquor, cigarette, currency, drugs, sanitizer, and many more. On behalf of FICCI Cascade, I would like to congratulate the government and the authorities of Jammu and Kashmir to address this issue with an iron hand. I also urge to keep up their already impressive work and ensure that such mischievous elements are kept at bay. Ladies and gentlemen, undoubtedly the current situation calls for greater focus on addressing the growing hazards of counterfeiting and smuggling, which are severely impacting the economy and endangering lives of consumers. It is also important to realize that if the spread of illicit trade is not checked, the consequences will be disastrous and societies and economies alike will have to face this. It is with this background that this webinar will seek solutions to address this rising menace. I'm delighted to have representation of senior government officials at this webinar today. I'm sure that their views and suggestions and discussions with the industry representatives will go a long way in providing practical solutions to counter the impact of illicit trade in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. I welcome you all once again and look forward to an engaging interaction. Thank you very much and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anil Rajput sir, for your very important words in your welcome address. It's very important that counterfeitings, which you highlighted, and pirated goods. Obviously, they are a threat to manufacturers. They undermining the consumer confidence, and last, obviously, the threat to individuals. And one more thing is very important, which we have to note here. It's a very serious threat to economy overall. If not, obviously, if it will not be checked, the consequences will be, very serious to the society. So it's very important to the higher authorities, to the police department, to keep a check on this. Yes, we are sharing the boundaries with the hostile nations here in UT of J&K. Now I would request Mr. Irfan Ahmad Gujju, Chairman FICCI J&K State Council and Managing Director IA Multi Ventures Private Limited, kindly give his opening statements. What do you, sir?
Thank you, Danish. Good morning, everyone. Shri Ranjan Prakash Thakur, IRTS Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Anil Rajput, Chairman, FICCI Cascade, Member, Corporate Management Committee, and Head of Corporate Affairs, ITC Limited. Mr. Mohammad Akbar, Joint Director, Department of Food and Supplies and Consumer Affairs. Ms. Irfana Ahmed, Deputy Drug Controller, Kashmir. Mr. Arun Gupta ji, President, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Jammu. Mr. Laik Ahmed ji, Deputy Director, Prosecution, Crime Headquarters, J&K. Mr. Rajesh Sharma, Co-Chair, FICCI J&K State Council. And all our industry representatives and audience. We thank and welcome you for taking out your precious times today. And again, many thanks in anticipation for helping us in future to stop this menace. What our today's discussion stands: prevention of counterfeiting and smuggling. Since the counterfeit economy takes its oxygen from the disturbance and pandemics, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Anil Rajput, counterfeiting is very lucrative business that takes advantage of unwitting consumers and people's appetites for cut price brands or simply exploit their financial position. In recent years, counterfeiting smuggling has expanded rapidly into products of all kinds, be it in medical equipments, pharmaceuticals, tobacco, handicrafts, jewelry, foodstuffs, watch, electronics, mobile phone accessories, softwares, games, toys, music, and other digital products. In addition, as illicit online sales increase, so do the opportunities for more digital sales of counterfeit goods. These uncertain times open multiple avenues for fraudsters to prey upon susceptible organizations and consumers. New vulnerabilities may emerge and existing vulnerabilities may be at greater risk of exploitation by fraudsters. Over some time now, trade in counterfeit, smuggled, and pirated goods has developed into a substantial threat to the economy of our country and pose serious safety and security hazards to the society at large. Different government agencies are involved at various stages in tackling such crimes, right from detection, investigation, prosecution, and prevention of such offenses, often including the recovery of the proceeds of crime. There are adequate laws available, but the enforcement of laws makes our role even more important in the fight against counterfeiters and smugglers. As rightly pointed out by Mr. Anil Rajput, counterfeiting costs India more than 1 lakh crore every year, which is nearly 10% of the GST collections of a financial year. According to a report released by WHO in 2017, about 10.5% of medicines sold in low and middle income countries, including India, are substandard and falsified. Nearly 20% of road accidents in India are attributed to fake automotive components. Even in normal times, there has been a growing recognition of threat that illicit trade such as smuggling and counterfeiting pose to the stability, safety, and security of nation. But now with the onslaught of COVID-19 crisis, concerns are growing that the scale and the scope of such activities could be increasing as the authorities here are distracted and overwhelmed by the unprecedented health crisis and the corresponding economic fallout. As FICCI Cascade, in its endeavor to combat crimes related to smuggling and counterfeiting, has over the years been sensitizing the country's enforcement agencies on this issue, equipping them to understand and take requisite action against the various economic offenders. As orchestrated strategy, including communication, coordination, and close cooperation amongst various government agencies, law enforcement officials, and private sector to combat this menace is imperative. Besides the challenges related to identifying and tracking counterfeit products and producers, counterfeit presents an additional challenge connected to the fact that it's often perceived as a lesser crime. For example, buying a machine-made pashmina shawl at the cost of handmade shawl might not be regarded as by the consumer as an illegal transaction. And there is an opportunity. Implementing geographical integration tax on shawls, carpets, and other handicraft products will authenticate handicrafts, which is one of the major source of income to 2.5 lakh artisans in J&K. Nonetheless, often little thought is given to how the money spent on counterfeit goods may ultimately end up in hands of organized criminal groups, or how the industries that rely on legitimate sales suffer. The harms produced by counterfeiting affect everyone. Firstly, counterfeit products such as pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, food products, toys, or automobile parts can pose a serious threat to health of consumers. Counterfeit products represent an enormous strain on the economy. They create an underground trade that deprives government around the globe of revenue for vital public services, thus imposing greater burdens on taxpayers. With the objective of engaging relevant stakeholders, including higher government officials and the enforcement agencies and the industry and even legal experts and consumer activists, to sensitize them on the severe adverse impact that counterfeiting and smuggling activities, that loopholes in the taxation policy encouraging tax evasion leading to smuggling of goods, putting at stake brand owners' reputation, causing severe loss to revenue to the public exchequer, and posing a serious threat to the security nationally and internationally. Thank you for listening patiently.
Thank you so much, Irfan Ahmad Gujju Sahab. West, I was noting down, your point. Counterfeiting is very lucrative business, which is happening around the corner right now in J&K, and obviously it has been increased, in recent years across different sectors as well. One more thing which you have highlighted, the GI, very important, which plays a very important role. And yes, obviously at the end of the time, it's a satisfaction to end customers. Moving ahead for the next session, which will focus on amplify dangers of counterfeiting, smuggling, black marketing, strengthening inter-agencies, corporations, information sharing to deter illicit trade. And we will have the interventions by our panelists, who have joined us today, and Mr. Mohammad Akbar, Joint Director, Department of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs, Mr. Arun Gupta, the President, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Jammu, Mr. Laik Ahmad, Deputy Director, Prosecution, Crime Headquarters, Jammu and Kashmir Police, Ms. Irfana Ahmad, Deputy Drug Controller, Kashmir. Let me first go to Mr. Mohammad Akbar, Joint Director, Department of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs. Akbar Saab, if you can please hear me, you can please unmute your mic, and you can please share your views on this subject and topic.
Yes, respected Chief Guest and other worthy colleagues and participants. I, on behalf of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs Department, Kashmir, congratulate organizers of this consumer-centric event on policies and strategies to present counterfeit and to prevent counterfeit and smuggling through webinar and Federation of Indian FCCI J&K chapter for inviting our department to attend the event. The Department of Consumer Affairs in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is the custodian of consumer rights of the people. The department is ensuring that the consumer may not be duped by unscrupulous traders by indulging in unfair trade practices. It has been observed that unethical practice of selling counterfeit consumer goods of reputed companies is prevalent in the markets in one way or the other. By selling counterfeit goods, the traders are minting money by illegal means and are infringing upon the rights of the consumers. The counterfeit goods are made often from the inferior quality material using design or trademark of some reputed company in order to deceive the consumer in the name of reputed company. To prevent this practice, the mass consumer awareness through print and electronic media is to be created. A vigilant consumer is an asset to the society. He should be educated about his rights as consumer so that he may exert his powers to discourage this unethical practice. Under Consumer Protection Act 2019, sale of counterfeit products is an unfair trade practice punishable under the said act. Under Legal Metrology Act 2011, a pre-packaged product, whether local or imported, should carry the complete address of manufacturer, packer, importer, along with consumer care details like telephone numbers and email address, etc. So consumers should check these details before buying any product. The counterfeit products often carry address with invalid email address and non-functional telephone numbers. Even other mandatory declarations such as MRP or date of manufacture, packing, importing remains missing on such counterfeit products. The consumers should insist for GST bill, warranty and guarantee codes, and ask for the address of the service centric in case of electric products. The counterfeit practice of LEDs, mobile batteries, ACs, toothpaste, pastes, medical supplies, etc. of reputed companies is prevalent in many markets. During the present COVID situation in the country, the sale of counterfeit products, especially relating to medical supplies, has also worsened the condition of the people and the economy of the country. The hazards and dangers of the counterfeit products is alarming. This menace is to be addressed on priority basis. The people should be encouraged to buy local products. The promotion of brand India shall also benefit Indian economy, reduce the demand of imported products, and create jobs and deter smuggling of counterfeit products. The enforcement departments of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir shall take stringent action against the unscrupulous traders who are found in dealing with this illegal trade. The enforcement department should conduct surprise inspection of the markets where imported goods are being sold in order to have close vigil over the sale of counterfeit or smuggled products. So far as our department is concerned, we have a round-the-clock mechanism to conduct extensive market checking under Essential Commodities Act, Consumers Protection Act, and Legal Metrology Act. So to take stringent action against erring traders by way of imposing compound fines, lodging FIRs, and even sealing the establishments found involved in illicit trade. We have 2 teams for Srinagar district, full-fledged teams, who are around the clock conducting market checking, and same is the case in respect of all other districts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mohammad Akbar Saab, for your very important and valid informations which you have shared, and some of the important, learnings, what the department is doing. Obviously, education to consumers is very important. If we talk about counterfeits products, every customer should know about this, how harmful, it is for their health, how alarming it is for their health. people should really wake up, from this menace. You have said that, surprise inspections to the market, surprise visits, enforcement agencies, what they have been doing, and obviously they should continue this practice, to conduct tours to regularly to various markets where they feel. So thank you so much, Mohammad Akbar Saab, for your these views. So I would like to now go to
1 minute. I would like to intervene. I have another meeting with Food Commission of Jharkhand. I am going to attend that meeting. So I would like to take leave of this event, if you will allow me, please.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. You can. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time for this today's interaction. Now I would like to go to Mr. Arun Gupta, President, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Jammu, also a FICCI member. Mr. Arun Gupta, if you can please hear me, can please have your views on this.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today we are discussing this counterfeiting and smuggling. Everyone knows that counterfeiting and smuggling is going on without any fear. I think without any fear in India. Everybody, I feels, what we are discussing, everybody feels that there is a need to strengthen our agencies so that this counterfeiting and smuggling can be stopped. As far as this counterfeiting is concerned, this is two types of counterfeiting. One is product wise and second is currency wise. अगर हम देखें कि करेंसी जो है यहाँ जम्मू कश्मीर, इन स्पेशली इन जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, जो इंडियन करेंसी है इसका जो एक काउंटरफीटिंग है, और मुझे लगता है कि पाकिस्तान जो बॉर्डर हमारा जो एरिया है, पाकिस्तान से जिस तरह से करेंसी जो है धड़ल्ले से जम्मू में आ रही है, इसको रोकने की ज़रूरत है। तो उसमें जो सबसे बड़ा पार्ट है, दिस इज़ आई थिंक RBI has to see what steps can be taken to stop this type of counterfeiting. अगर हम ट्रेड की बात करें तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि अब कोई भी हमारी एजेंसी जो है वो सिंसियर है टू स्टॉप दिस काउंटरफीटिंग। देखिए ऑनलाइन ट्रेड में किसी को पता नहीं है कि व्हाट इज गोइंग ऑन, कौन सा प्रोडक्ट किस घर में पहुंच रहा है, कौन सा प्रोडक्ट जो है वो डुप्लीकेट है, कोई नहीं जानता। अगर किसी शॉप की बात करें, वहाँ पर हमारी एजेंसीज जाती हैं, वहाँ चेकिंग करती हैं। बट व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ ऑनलाइन ट्रेड, कोई भी एजेंसी जो है, मुझे लगता है कि इसमें गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जो है अभी की इन्होंने FDI इन रिटेल 100% लो किया है, तो उसमें ये चीज़ें चेक करने की ज़रूरत है। सबसे पहले तो जो ऑनलाइन ट्रेड बिक रहे हैं उनके ऊपर चेकिंग बहुत ज़रूरी है। ओनली एंड ओनली वी कैन स्टॉप दिस काउंटरफीटिंग। और सेकेंडली जहाँ तक दिस इज़ आई मीन द सेकेंड स्टेप इज स्मगलिंग। और मैं ये समझता हूँ कि स्मगलिंग जो है, देखिए इस दौरान में कोविड के टाइम में जो मेन स्मगलिंग हुई है वो जहाँ हुई है मेडिसिन की, जिस तरह से अभी कहा गया कि बहुत सारे ऐसे मेडिसिन जो है वो डुप्लीकेट जो है वो हमारे स्टेट में आई, हमारी कंट्री में बहुत ज़्यादा जो डुप्लीकेट मेडिसिन बनी। और उसके अलावा जो दूसरा सबसे बड़ा पॉइंट मैंने देखा, जो GST जिसमें 40% या 28%, वो आइटम्स जो हैं उनकी सबसे ज़्यादा स्मगलिंग हुई, और दैट टू विद द कोऑपरेशन ऑफ लोकल एजेंसीज। मैं अपने जम्मू की बात करूं तो जम्मू में भी बहुत सारे ऐसे ट्रेड हुए, जो गुटखा है, ये सिगरेट है, जो इस तरह के जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, जम्मू में जो अथॉरिटीज़ हैं जिनको ये चेक करना चाहिए था, और उन्हीं की कोऑपरेशन के साथ विदाउट एनी बिल, विदाउट एनी बिलिंग फ्रॉम कंपनी, वो जो है वो स्मगल हुए। और ये जो चीज़ें हैं मेनली मैं देखता हूँ कि कंपनी को इसका बेनिफिट होता है और जो कस्टमर होते हैं या जो होलसेलर होते हैं उनको भी इसी का बेनिफिट होता है। मेनली अगर हम देखें तो इसका मेन बेनिफिट होता है। तो दूसरा मैं एक बात और कहूँगा, जब स्मगलिंग की बात आती है तो क्रॉस बॉर्डरिंग स्मगलिंग को हम लोग जो है इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते। सन 2001 में, शायद 2000 में, उस समय की अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी ने एक चीज़ जो है वहाँ पर अनाउंस की थी कि जितना भी बॉर्डर एरिया है वहाँ पर फेंसिंग की जाएगी, वहाँ पर सेंसर लगाए जाएंगे, लाइटिंग की जाएगी और कंसर्टीना कॉइल जो है वो पूरी की पूरी लगाई जाएगी ताकि क्रॉस बॉर्डर स्मगलिंग जो है वो ख़त्म की जा सके। और आज की डेट में भी क्रॉस बॉर्डर स्मगलिंग जो है हम लोग ख़त्म नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। उसका सबसे बड़ा कारण ये है कि अभी तक बॉर्डर पे जो सेंसर लगने चाहिए, देखिए कई ऐसी जगहें हैं यहाँ पर हमारी आर्मी नहीं पहुँच सकती। जब आर्मी नहीं पहुँच सकती तो उसका मतलब यह है कि जब सेंसर वहाँ लगे होंगे तो हमें पता लग जाएगा कि हम लोग जो हैं आने वाले खतरे को हम पहचान जाएंगे। तो जिस तरह की स्मगलिंग जो है, क्रॉस बॉर्डर स्मगलिंग हो रही है, जिस तरह की स्मगलिंग जो है वो लोकल लेवल पे हो रही है, उसको भी रोकने की ज़रूरत है। और आई थिंक इसके लिए एजेंसीज जो हैं इनको गियर अप होना पड़ेगा। और हमारे हमारे हिंदुस्तान में बहुत सारी ऐसी एजेंसीज हैं जो मुझे लगता है कि अभी तक जिस तरह की ड्यूटीज उनको परफॉर्म करनी चाहिए, कहीं ना कहीं उसमें दिक्कत है, कहीं ना कहीं कमी है। और आने वाले दिनों में ये गियर अप हों तभी ये जो आप ये कहेंगे कि काउंटरफीटिंग और स्मगलिंग जो है वो रुक सकती है। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you so much, Varun Gupta ji. You talked about online trade, in counterfeit. The checking has to
जी
be,
बिल्कुल।
checking is very important, aspect to
देर
stop
इज
that
देर इज नो चेकिंग
counterfeit.
एनीवेयर, देर इज
Okay,
नो चेकिंग एनीवेयर
okay,
regarding this online trade is concerned.
okay.
So this
So this
needs
is
to
a
be
very
addressed.
important point. Yes, this is a very important point. If that plays a very important role, how the government and the agencies, enforcement agencies, how how they are stopping this. And you have also highlighted some points
एक
on cross-border smuggling. That is
इसमें
something
मैं
which
एक बात
also,
जरूर कहूँगा
yeah,
कि अगर हम लोग जब ये बात देखते हैं कि हमारी जो लोकल एजेंसीज हैं वो शॉप पे जा रही हैं, जो कंसर्न इंडस्ट्रीज हैं वहाँ पर जा रही हैं, वो तो जा रही हैं, लेकिन ऑनलाइन में कौन देख रहा है? नोबडी इज चेकिंग।
yes.
तो सबसे बड़ा
So
खतरा जो है
address.
काउंटरफिटिंग का,
Mhm.
काउंटरफिटिंग का सबसे बड़ा खतरा जो है वो ऑनलाइन ट्रेड।
Okay, okay. So point noted, sir, and thank you so much for your time. To come and join in this interaction. It's a very important topic. If we can see, the counterfeitings and smugglings in UT and JNK. At the end of the day, we have to be vocal for local. And to prevent this illicit trade in the UT and JNK. One of the sectors, if we can talk about the drugs in JNK, medicines, for which we have our guests here, Miss Irfana Ahmed. She is the Deputy Drug Controller Kashmir. So it will be very important. We are going to, ma'am, listen you on this. What the department is doing on this. The strategies to prevent this counterfeit and smuggling. Ma'am, if you have please joined, you can please unmute your mic.
Good morning. Am I audible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. I first of all thank you, organizers, for calling me here for this very important topic you have chosen today for this webinar regarding this counterfeit and spurious smuggling of illegal trade in our UT. I would like to inform you that our department, that is the Drugs and Food Control Organization of the state, now UT has been entrusted with the implementation of Drugs and Cosmetic Act and rules there under, and of course food safety and standards. That is, drug and food is under our mandate, and we are the first stakeholders for this thing. to say that the quality of food and the quality of medicine provided to the general people is being given in a very proper way. For this, we have an enforcement staff provided by the government everywhere at district levels, at block levels. We have assistant directors, we have food safety officers, we have drug control officers, and their mandate is to implement the rules and regulations of these both acts. Because I don't want to go into the details of the work they have to do and that everybody has to do as per their mandate. But counterfeit, as you call it in our language, we call it as Spurious, as Drugs and Cosmetic Act under that language. And it comes under Section 17B of Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940. And I would like to tell you that if anywhere it is proved that the person is involved in the manufacturing or the trade of spurious drugs, there is imprisonment of 10 years to life term and fine up to 10 lakhs to the accused person. So the strategies of the department would be like, we have this routine inspections, and we have inspections like on input. Sometimes we get information that somewhere some consignment is coming without any proper regulation. Like last year during this pandemic, there was a lot of hue and cry because we were involved in this pandemic situation. Our focus was to see that the medicines were delivered to the people during pandemic. But during that time, we had some input that codeine is coming to this UT. Around 40,000 40,000 bottles are coming. So we just had a raid on the premises, and in fact the transport agencies at that time informed us. I'd like to share that with you. So we went to the transport yard at Parampora. I sent my team there. They checked all the trucks that were coming with the medicine. One truck we found they were containing around 7,000 bottles of. It was one of the earlier installment. It was supposed to be 40,000, but on our raid they stopped giving us. The boy was arrested. He was not a licensed dealer. It was coming under unregulated channel. The boy we had to seek assistance of police at that time because there could have been a law and order problem that time. The boy was arrested. He is under trial this time. He has been prosecuted. So the department, whatever we have to do is being done. So we have immediate we have complaints somewhere somebody says ki madam wahan pe bik raha hai, yahan pe bik raha hai. I would like to tell you that this is being done by unregulated people. Sometimes licensed dealer bhi kahin involved hota hai. Sorry. So at that time we see ki hamare jo investigating officers they do their best. I would like to share this with you that during the last few years, almost 23 drugs have been found to be spurious in the state of in this UT, and almost 70-80% have been prosecuted in the court of law. They are under trial, and 2 or 3 are under investigation. So the department has whatever is to be done is being done. The samples are drawn to ascertain their quality, identity, and strength. One more thing I would like to share is that in 2017 or 18, there was a huge drive across the country to check this quality of drugs and to see spurious drugs market mein kitni hai. Around 50,000 drug samples were drawn throughout the country. In fact, in our UT also around 350, not by our people, by the team had been sponsored by central government. तो उसमें बताऊं आपको around 0.03% were found to be substandard, बाकी सब स्टैंडर्ड निकला. So we by हम कहीं पे जाएंगे तो हम by naked eye से नहीं कह सकते हैं कि it is a spurious या counterfeit drug है या क्या. For that it requires analysis at every point of time. So the department jitna bhi role hai that is being done. The strategies we would like to say is that there should be a modern drug testing laboratory at entry points like at Kathua and like at Lakhanpur. There is a proposal for building a modern drug testing laboratory at Kathua. The plans are going on. Land has been acquired, but it will take some time to get it constructed on modern lines. Then there should be a coordinated effort between the drug control department and the police department, because it should be a joint effort. हमारे पास law and order के लिए police assistance is must, because you know the conditions. So investigation has to be carried out jointly by police department, the seizures, arrests is to be made by along with them, so that this menace can be eradicated. We are trying our best. We are seeing the transport agencies से ही हमें पता चलता है. We go there on and off to check जो भी आ रहा है, because it's not possible to check each and every consignment. But whatever is being brought into the heat, we try it every best possible way में हम check करना चाहेंगे, check भी करते हैं कि वहाँ पे जो भी आ रहा है transport agency, because that is the only source. या फिर जब वो distribute होता है, that is difficult to trace after that. So transport agencies is the main जहाँ पे हमारा trust रहता है, जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि जो भी आ रहा है supplies, that is to be checked at that point of time. Then we have an intelligence and legal cell established here. They are also doing this job very efficiently. There are designated course, special course for this trial of these spurious drugs. हमारे कुछ cases टाडा court में भी चल रहे हैं, they are under trial. But you know the procedures, जब तक वो prove नहीं होता है, it takes a lot of time for that. And there are administrative actions भी हम लेते हैं, जैसे अगर we find कि there is a licensed dealer is involved in all this, and we have cancelled licenses there, we have prosecuted them in the court, and some of them are arrested also. So the point is, the department का जो भी mandate है, we are trying, maybe we are one of the first stakeholders in this, की जो quality and जो quantity है और जो counterfeit है, to check on this, and we are doing best to deal with this. Thank you.
Ji, thank you so much for your time, and some of the points which you have highlighted, I think in the later period of this discussion, maybe they will be discussed as well. You know, you said that there has been a team from the center who came here down the line some years back, you know, to check the quality of the drugs. So we look forward to have some more such inspections in coming future as well in J&K, because drugs is very important, and the consumable part here in J&K is also very huge. Yes, obviously, police department and drug control department have to be, you know, together, you know, to remove this trade here in J&K. You also said that there has to be a mechanism on to check the consignments, and you said the transport agencies, they plays a role in this. This is something which we look forward to hear some more on this from the rest of the speakers. And yes, obviously, the administrative role is very important, you know, to stop this drug menace in J&K. Now, I would request our next speaker, Mr. Laik Ahmed, Deputy Director Prosecution, Crime Headquarters, Jammu and Kashmir, to kindly share his views with us today. Yeah, Mr. Laik Ahmed, please.
Sorry for some technical problem. Mr. Irshad, hope I am audible to all.
Yeah, sir, you are absolutely audible. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. It is a matter of privilege for me to be part of this event today. I am representing Jammu and Kashmir Police, which is an important part of criminal justice system, and well aware of the responsibilities and duties to prevent and detect the offenses. I am thankful to the organizers for choosing this topic today, which is very important to create awareness among the general public about the menace of counterfeiting and smuggling. This menace has various effects, especially on the economic loss to the government, that is state exchequer. The counterfeit product is pose risk to millions of individuals, consumers, in terms of health and safety, and even one has business. This brand owners, and they are at risk. They all not only lose their brand value and revenue, but also lose consumer patronage, sales, and probability. The government has framed various stringent laws, and they are implemented by all the enforcement agencies, including Jammu and Kashmir Police in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir. A proper surveillance is maintained on the markets, and cognizance is taken of the commission of any offense as defined under the various laws which are prevailing in our country. As one of the participants, Mr. Orun Mutasar, has raised the issue of cross-border smuggling. Jammu and Kashmir Police has taken cognizance in so many cases to ensure preventive and detective action in these matters. As regards the drugs in the market and which are consumed by the youth, the Jammu and Kashmir Police is being played to curb and check the menace of drugs which are spoiling the youth in particular. As per the statistics available with me, during the year 2020, we have seized about 387,000 intoxicating capsules, injections, and Corex and Ricoff syrup bottles. In this context, we are also holding seminars in colleges, institutions to imbibe and instill the effects of drugs on the youth and to prevent society from the menace of drugs. This is one part of the control of menace of drugs, and the other part is we have so many legislations prevailing in the country. For example, we have Trademarks Act 1999, Copyrights Act, Information Technology Act, Drugs and Cosmetics Act. 2018, we have registered 15 cases under Copyrights Act, and 24 cases have been registered during the year 2019 under the Copyrights Act, and during 2020, 26 cases of Copyrights Act have been registered in various police stations of UT of J&K. As an enforcement agency, we are conscious about our duties and responsibilities. Market surveillance is maintained, and wherever there is information of any cognizable offense of which police is competent to take cognizance, we take the cognizance to ensure prevention and detection of counterfeiting and smuggling. We also work in coordination with other enforcement agencies like drug controller, food safety organizations, CAPD, so that the various provisions of law for regulation of goods, drugs, essential commodities are maintained and regulated properly as per the provisions of law. The important aspect for any enforcement agency is that the public should be aware about the menace of counterfeiting and smuggling, because such type of offenses have direct effect on the economy of the state as well as on the individuals. Whenever we receive any information regarding any type of offense relating to Copyright, Trademark Act, Essential Commodities Act, cognizance is taken of the offenses, and at times coordination of the other enforcement agencies is also ensured so that the menace is curbed, checked, and prevented. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think Danish is lost his network connection. Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting, the issues and also the coordinating actions which the Jammu and Kashmir State Police has been taking with other enforcement agencies in the state to address this issue. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. We will come back to you for in case there are any questions specifically for you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed privileged to have with us our chief guest, Mr. Ranjan Prakash Thakur, IRTS, Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you, sir, for joining today. And may I request you now to please make the keynote address.
Thank you. Thank you for giving the opportunity to speak today and join you in this function. Now, I'll today speak in multiple roles. One as an individual, second as a consumer, third as a bureaucrat. Let me first thank Mr. Anil Rajput because he may have forgotten that how we had met. I was earlier PS to the tourism minister, and every year in Diwali, Mr. Rajput sends me still a hamper of his products. So I must thank him in person because we haven't been in touch for so many years. So I'm grateful for your kindness. And it's been now, I think, 12 years that we had met last year, and you must have forgotten me. But still, good to see you always, and I'm grateful for all the support you have given me. Second part, let me just correct a few things, and I'll be slightly upfront and frank about saying what I'm saying because I'm not a J&K cadre officer, so I need to speak slightly clearly about this issue. While there is a grave concern about the neighborhood that we live in, the concern is more about counterfeit currency and weapons rather than counterfeit products. So I'll not take up that subject because that's more of a technical problem for the army and the police, and that doesn't reflect the training system that we have in the city. But yes, there's a larger graver implication for the national security, and we should take care of that part. But I won't dwell on that part. But goods typically are not sent across the border because getting weapons and drones have become a larger priority rather than looking at that part. And counterfeit currency, of course, is a concern. Second point, I would again disagree with one of my speakers which spoke right now. As somebody who is passionately an online user, I actually feel that the online products are much safer because they are not counterfeited. These organizations have a much more robust system of checking out the product that gets sent to them. So, well, somebody has been using since inception. Never ever I had an occasion where I ever had to really look at a counterfeit product. They have been bad products, but not counterfeit products. Now I play the role of a consumer. I go to a shop to buy, say, a toothpaste, maybe. Well, let's keep it simple. Counterfeit means, contrary to what police or enforcement agency thinks, everything is duplicated. The phone numbers are there, the producer's name is there, the locations are there. The real issue is, how does a consumer distinguish the fact that it's a counterfeit product? I still, having spent 31 in the government, and I think I'm an aware consumer, cannot make out a counterfeit, say, to Colgate toothpaste or some other product that happens, whether it's counterfeit or actually not counterfeit, unless I've used it and then sense something is not right. So it is a genuine problem. So despite all the hallmarks and the other facts that we're getting into it, there remains a serious concern of apprehending the people who are getting into the issue of counterfeit, because it is not easy to actually make it out what happens. Interestingly, I have worked most of my life in Delhi and just come to J&K last 4 months ago. I come from a place in the capital of Bihar, Patna, and in Patna, the eastern part of it. That part of Bihar is known for counterfeiting everything which is sold in the market. Honest admission, I'm not hiding it. Every wrapper, every product is made out and filled with whatever basic product they can sell. Anything can be counterfeited. It's a knowledge of everybody. It's consciously sold at a low rate to the marketing people in the shops, and they tend to mix it up with some multiple products. You can't make it out. So a lot of speakers have said before me, so I won't repeat that part. Yes, counterfeiting is a grave concern. It undermines the economy, affects the health, especially in case of medicine and other life-saving drugs, where it becomes a crisis of automobile parts. So it's a grave issue which we address. I've also worked as a PS minister in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Even the IPR infringements and the counterfeits, which are very substantial, are damaging. But that is a choice you can still get away with. But getting a counterfeit medicine is always a serious concern. And although my counterpart speakers have spoken earlier, especially the JNK officers have mentioned that part, I'm afraid it does not lay in the high priority of government, especially in JNK. There is a concern. I'm trying to raise the awareness level, and I'll push to my colleagues also to get something more done. But today, it's not a high priority for us. It's one of the issues which you also tackle and talk about in seminars and meetings. It's not enforced because enforcement is a concern. Typically, you cannot catch counterfeit so easily because while my speakers also have earlier who have spoken about the fact that you have to print everything. If everything is exactly the same as a normal product, how do you know it's counterfeit? Not an easy task. Our people are not fully trained. Even if they are trained, it's not an easy job. Now, let me jump to the next issue of handicrafts and handlooms. We run a Pashmina testing center. Typically, if a visitor comes to Kashmir, of course, shawls are crazed. So, well, Pashmina, Kani, and Jamawars are the real stuff out here. Most of the shawls sold out here in the name of Pashmina actually manufactured in Ludhiana and Amritsar. They're not manufactured here. It is not easy to make out what is manufactured here, not manufactured here. I can't make it out. That's honest admission. I do not know unless there's an expert out there who can make it out. Now, to get over this crisis, what we have done is that we now put in a hologram tag on the Pashmina testing center. We are now getting into carpets also. We will tag them with hologram, which can be checked up with a computer number also online, whether it's a genuine product or not. It's a beginning of a large game. We have just imported machines and getting that part of it. Hopefully, the more expensive products can be resolved like this, but that's a limited, say, silk carpets or Pashmina carpets. They're very expensive, and not less than 50,000 plus rupees per piece. But what happens to mass economy? It's a grave concern. I have no simple solutions, but as a consumer, I request that I should know how to distinguish an original from a fake. I haven't seen any campaign from the industry which talks about this issue. Now, if anybody could enlighten me, I'll be grateful for that part, because when I buy a product, I can't make it out. God knows how the enforcement agencies can make it out from it. So while agreeing with the graveness of the issue, the solution still belies. We haven't really found the way ahead in this case. Let's think seriously. I have no simple answers to the issue. So I would say we can mull over the fact that we should know how to distinguish a fake from an original, then try to enforce it seriously. And contrary to what my speakers spoke before me, online, I still find is a far, far safer bet, because while it's not being enforced, the major companies still have a quality check which happens in that process. So, well, we'll do our role, but I leave the floor to the fact that tell us what is the best way ahead. Yes, enforcement is required. How do we enforce? We don't know ourselves how to get into that part. I can do Pashmina and carpets, yes, but that's only few items in a very expensive ballgame. So help us think better. I'll welcome your suggestions to it. We'll do our role, but it's a tough nut to crack. There is a problem, and it's a global problem. I've been to China. You see what happens. You travel across the country. In Delhi also, I know a lot of printing presses made most of the money by printing fake boxes and labels. I have told you about my hometown. Everything made out there, most of the factories is fake. And most people are aware of it. And you know what corruption problems also brings. So grave concern. Well, let's think about it and let me know what we can do best in the government of J&K, and we can support that up. And thanks a lot for having me. I'm grateful again, Mr. Rajput. I thank you for a lot of the support that you have remembered over the years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your address and for rightly indicating that adequate trust and high priority is needed to address this menace. And you also indicated how enforcement, there's a concern in enforcement actions and training is required. And I must say that FICCI Cascade is committed to this cause, and we are ready to partner with the department, with the departments of Jammu and Kashmir government to help us to aid the officers in any kind of training which is required on this subject. Thank you, sir, once again for joining and taking part in the deliberations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some time for a brief interactive session. So I will request you, in case you have any questions, kindly put it in the question and answer chat box so that we may ask the concerned person. You could also indicate who that question is so that we may ask the correct person. Meanwhile, I have a couple of, I think I have 2 questions already in the chat box, so I would like to read it out. The first question is from Mr. Pradeep Dixit, and this question is for Mr. Laik Ahmed. If I can read out the question, it says that as per Indian laws, cigarette and other tobacco products are supposed to have health warning of 85% on the pack area. However, smuggled cigarettes without any health warnings are openly being sold in Jammu and Kashmir. It is believed to be 25% of the total market area. Is Jammu Kashmir Police or the Food Supplies Department aware of this, and are they taking actions against smuggled cigarettes which goes without the health warnings? Question for Mr. Laik Ahmed, please.
It's a very important question. And the law is very much clear that health warning is very important. Hope I am audible. So,
yes, sir, you are.
And the warning is very important for to be printed on every pack of this cigarette. Whenever we receive any information, we take cognizance of the matter, because any violation of the rules and regulations is an offense, and for which the enforcement agencies are duty bound to take cognizance.
Okay, sir, thank you. I also have a question from Mr. Sanaullah Khan to Mr. Laik Ahmed, and the question says that what kind of collaboration Jammu and Kashmir officials are looking at from industries to enforce actions on counterfeiting of cosmetic products. From industry end, we are we could propose trainings for enforcement teams on the legal remedies and identification, analyzation of counterfeit goods. So, sir, if you could throw some light on this.
This is also a very good question. It is governed by Drugs and Cosmetics Act, for which the powers mainly vested with the drug controller. And whenever the police department or the police station receives an information regarding such type of violation with regard to cosmetics, with regard to violation of Cosmetics Act, that is shared with the concerned department, who have the powers to take cognizance into the matter, and cognizance is taken, and any violator is brought to court, is legally dealt by the concerned agency.
Okay, thank you, sir. We also have a question. The question says that where can we file a complaint against spurious drugs being sold in the market? I mean, ma'am, if you want, you can answer. Irfana Ahmed, ma'am, if you'd like to answer that, or Mr. Ahmed.
First, I would like to inform Mr. Laik that regarding cosmetics complaint, we have a cell here, and previously we didn't have these notified inspectors for lifting of sample, but because of the this commitment by the department and by the administrative secretary, the drug inspectors or drug control officers are now notified to lift samples of cosmetics in the market, and they are sent to various laboratory outside J&K, which are notified for testing them. So last year we almost around 20 to 25 samples we lifted gifted of cosmetic, different shampoos, creams, and other things. And out of those, two were declared of not of standard quality, and others were declared standard. For those two cosmetic products, investigations have been started, and even prosecutions have been launched in the competent courts of law. Regarding this complaint, you are saying our department is meant for it. Our website is there. Our email is in the everywhere. Our phone numbers are there. Anybody having any complaint regarding spurious drugs or any other complaint, any other grievance with respect to medicine, they can contact us through our telephone numbers, through our mails. And in fact, we are receiving mails through our official mails and through our telephone also, and we are addressing those complaints on priority. So for your information, I would like to share my number here. It is 0194-249-5191, and this mail is Deputy Controller Kashmir @gmail.com. Anybody having complaint can put his complaint on this address, and we can address that on priority. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think
Yes,
we'll have
Swati, sorry, I just want to come in. In the attendees, we have the President, Badi Brahmana Industrial Association, Mr. Lalit Mahajan. I think he has posted some question on the chat box. If you can please read it out, or if Lalit Mahajan can hear me, he can, ask his questions right now.
Yes, I think I have the question from Mr. Mahajan. Mr. Lalit Mahajan, yes. So the question says that lot of non-BIS marked products for which BIS certification is mandatory is flooded in the market of Jammu and Kashmir. The department has limited staff available in the BIS Jammu office for inspections of the market, which results that the genuine manufacturers are suffering, as well as the consumers are impacted badly through these products. So would anybody like to take this question? What could be done to address this issue? I think Mr. Mohammed Akbar has left. He would have been the correct person to take that question.
Ma'am, I would like to clarify here that for BIS registration, all the manufacturers have to have the BIS registration before they apply for FSSAI license. So without that, they cannot come into the market. They cannot apply for licenses. Their licenses cannot be renewed by this. So in rarest cases, we find that BIS registration is not there, because their licenses cannot be issued until and unless they have this registration there under FSSAI law.
Okay, thank you. I hope, Mr. Mahajan, your question has been answered. I'll take one final question. I think Mr. PC Jha has his hand raised. Mr. Jha is the advisor to Cascade and former chairman of CBIC. Mr. Jha, if you could unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
Yeah, I will like to know about that. How serious is the problem of the counterfeiting and the fake in respect of the three important high-priced items which are sent from J&K to all over India also, and it is exported out of India. Namely saffron, pashmina shawl, and the carpets. Some points have been made already about your pashmina shawls and your carpets. But I will like to know, I mean, if any of the officials from J&K can elaborate on this point, that how serious is the problem of the fake and Cascade in respect of these three items. I particularly remember that about 6-7 years back, when we had a seminar of Cascade in Srinagar, and that time the agriculture minister of the J&K was the chief guest, and a large number of the farmers who grow saffron, they had come, and they made this point that the saffron is being adulterated in a big way with the similar looking items. It is happening in a big way. And so my point is that is it possible to know, I mean, even in a broad way, that how serious the problem of the counterfeit and fake is in respect of these three high-priced products of Jammu Kashmir, which gives livelihood to large number of people, and it is a good source of income for the people. And I will just repeat these items: the pashmina shawl, carpets, and saffron. And in case no such study has been made in the past, will it be possible that now in future some efforts is made to conduct some study in respect of these three items? Thank you.
Mr. Ahmed, would you like to throw some light on this? So you're on mute.
As regards the saffron product is concerned, it is mostly grown in the area of Pakur. Though some complaints have been received in the past regarding adulteration in the saffron, and cognizance for the same has been taken by the enforcement agencies. As regards the shawls and other products, their efforts are being made by the handicrafts department for tagging, GI tagging and other things, indexing of the same. And in future, even a combat man will be able to just test the veracity or genuineness of the product in future by these steps taken by the government.
Okay, thank you, sir. Danish, I think we have exceeded already at 15 minutes, so we'll stop the interaction now. I think it has been a wonderful session, and we got various very
Swati, just to interfere, Chairman FICCI State Council would like to say on this.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, sir. Please go on. So kindly unmute, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Jha, your question is valid question. Unfortunately, we don't have any study right now with us. Frankly speaking, we don't have. In fact, we can request Mr. Ranjanji to allow us that we can do some research and do study for Pashmina, saffron, and other products. What's happening in Pashmina actually, as I already have quoted, that the challenge with us, we have 2.5 lakh families, artisans I will talk about. They are actually dependent on this Pashmina. The fake, I would not say fake, I would say the machine made and the actual handicraft. Kashmir is known for the handicraft. And the artisans we have 2.5 lakh, they are completely dependent. So we need to actually sensitize, as I have already told people in my past speech, that we have to look into the loopholes where the machine made is coming and replacing with the handmade. Cost of machine made could be around 3,500 rupees, and the cost of handmade is around 8,000 rupees. It takes around a month to make a shawl, Pashmina shawl, by an artisan, and that he gets around 8,000 rupees. And on the other side, they get 3,500 rupee shawl, which is machine made. And the issue is very complex. So we have to do some study in saffron as well. And we will, I think, request Ranjanji, if they allow us, that we can do the study in this part, because the actual study is not available with the department, particularly for shawls or the saffron. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Danish, any other points, or should then otherwise
we can go ahead with the concluding remarks, which can be given by our co-chair, Mr. Rajesh Sharma ji. Rajesh Sharma ji, thank you so much. Kindly go ahead with your concluding remarks in this interaction.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to join some of the thought leaders here today as we discuss the burning issue of combating the menace of counterfeiting and smuggling during the COVID-19 pandemic. This has caused immense harm to human lives and economies alike. Since years, the world has been battling illicit trade and dealing with the adverse socio-economic impact it causes. During the last 20 years, the volume has actively has increased by 100 times. Unfortunately, the problem has only compounded in the current situation where criminals have used the pandemic as an opportunity to exploit the vulnerable consumer and organization, causing significant damage. Ladies and gentlemen, the world which is still fighting the virus will not be the same as the COVID scenario, especially in the way we do business, as the crisis has led to huge supply chain disruption. As businesses suffer during this crisis, any sale of counterfeit or smuggled products will only worsen the socio-economic distress. While this menace has vital, encouraging the use of indigenous goods will also play a defining role to eliminate this socio-economic threat. Not only it will benefit the Indian economy, it will reduce the demand of imported goods and avoid dumping of cheap products. It will also create jobs and deter the cross-border illicit trade. It's a time that we own India's inherent strengths and capabilities and be flexible, attractive, and competitive so that our economy can adapt the challenges and opportunities in a post-COVID era. In the past, we may not have been successful in tapping the strength of self-reliance, but going forward, the strategy of promoting indigenous production and its use locally is going to be a significant part to our economy. I will take this opportunity to thank Shri Ranjan Prakash Thakur, Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of J&K, for taking out time from his busy schedule and sharing his thoughts on the need of collaboration efforts by the government and the industry to educate and sanitize stakeholders to address the menace. This undoubtedly is of the utmost importance and necessity. Thank you, Mr. Irfan Ahmed Guju, Chairman FICCI J&K, Mr. Muhammad Akbar, Joint Director, Department of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs, Mr. Irfan Ahmed, Deputy Director, Drug Control, Kashmir, and Mr. Arun Gupta, President, Chamber of Commerce in the Industry, Jammu, for joining us today and throwing on the efforts of the government and the industry in tackling the flow of illicit products during the current crisis. FICCI Cascade has been highlighting the problem of counterfeiting and smuggling at the highest levels of the government, both at the center and the state. And we hope to see new areas of partnership between the industry and the government to mitigate this challenge. Last but not least, I thank you all who have joined us, and I hope you had an enriching session today. Thank you, stay safe, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you, our chairman, Mr. Rajput, who has been spearheading this initiative across the nation, our advisors and our think tank members of Cascade. Thank you, Danish, for your support from the state to organize this activity in Jammu and Kashmir. We look forward to working more in this area along with the Department with industry, with the enforcement agencies of Jammu and Kashmir to take this forward. Thank you once again. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, ma'am, Irfana ma'am. Thank you so much, Mr. Laik Ahmed. Thank you, Ranjanji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
राजकुमार जी, थैंक यू. आप इसको एंड कर दीजिए.
Okay, thank you.